Shadow Warrior is a first-person shooter created by 3D Realms.
You're no mess with Lo Wang.
This game was released in 1997 and runs under Ken Silverman's build engine. The game's protagonist is Lo Wang, a shadow warrior formerly employed by the powerful Zilla Corporation as a defense contractor. After learning of their plan to take over Japan with creatures summoned from the dark side, he resigned and is now fighting to stop them. The gameplay is what you would expect from first-person shooters at the time. Find weapons and keys, kill enemies, and find the exit. Although the theme revolves around Asian culture, keep in mind that 3D Realms is an American company. Don't expect authenticity, and you won't be disappointed. Let's start with the weapons. You start with a katana and shurikens. The katana is for slicing enemies in half, while shurikens give you a ranged attack that can bounce off of walls. You can also get some kung fu action if you want to engage with your bare hands. Moving on to guns, the game somewhat breaks away from the standard shotgun/submachine gun setup to resolve the excessive ammunition problem that plagued earlier first-person shooters. The riot gun can fire like a normal shotgun and can fire a 4-round burst in a secondary mode. Uzis can be dual-wielded, and you can still have the option of firing only one of them. You can also use the body parts of fallen enemies as weapons. Guardian heads shoot fireballs in 3 different firing modes, while Ripper hearts create a temporary clone of yourself. The game also features nuclear missiles. Although it doesn't live up to its name, who cares? They still pack a punch. On the box and when the game first loads, you're warned that the game contains mature content. After all, it does have a lot of violence and gore. Killing them with your katana will split them in 2. Body parts stay on the ground after killing an enemy with an explosive weapon. But there's also something else.
You want to wash Wang? Or you want to watch Wang wash Wang?
You jerk.
Strong sexual content. Oh yeah. You will come across various items to help you on your quest. Smoke bombs make you invisible to the enemy if they're not aware of your presence. Night vision goggles help you see enemies in the darker areas of the level. Caltrops are small spiked objects that damage anyone that walks over them, including yourself. The game's bestiary has a wide variety of unique and extremely aggressive monsters. The most common are the evil ninjas that carry Uzis, grenade launchers, and rocket launchers. The coolies run at you with a box of dynamite and try to blow themselves up along with you. If that's not enough, some of them will spawn a spectral ghost to continue their attack. The most annoying enemies are the hornets that are fast and hard to kill. They're not much of a threat by themselves, but they can distract you and waste your ammo. The bosses in the game are ridiculously easy. Any first-person shooter veteran will be able to take them out on their first try. This giant sumo wrestler shoots explosive farts and emits toxic gas. As cheesy as that sounds, in terms of challenge, it just doesn't make the cut. A new feature for first-person shooters at the time was the introduction of player-controlled vehicles. They range from remote-controlled cars to drivable battle tanks. They also came in the form of stationary turrets. Sometimes you come across these vehicles in a non-functional state. They can be fixed with a repair kit you find on the level. Shadow Warrior does not support 3D acceleration, so you can expect a lot of pixelation. That doesn't mean the game doesn't have good graphics, but are comparable to other games that use the build engine, such as Duke Nukem 3D.
Holy cow! Look like Duke Nukem!
The enemies have a lot of detail despite being 2D sprites, while many items you find appear as voxels, volumetric pixels that are comparable to 3D models. The level design seems to focus more on visuals than on gameplay flow. Although the levels are linear for the most part, they do contain tons of decorations, such as statues, wall tapestries, and shrines. The textures do their job fairly well. Barren mountainous areas will look a bit bland, but the various indoor environments will show a lot of color. Some portals and pools of water have transparency effects on them, allowing you to see what's on the other side. The music in the game was a CD music with a slow-paced oriental theme. It sounded generic, but otherwise okay. These are not tunes that will be stuck in your head for years to come. The weapon sounds are simply awesome. They make you feel like you have a powerful piece of hardware in your hands and you want to kill something with it. Luckily, there's a lot of monsters to kill. In contrast, the monsters can sound a bit out of place at times. To me, it just doesn't seem like the sprites match the sounds they make. The voice acting for Lo Wang was surprisingly good. For one thing, the voice actor is white, and he managed to hit the Asian stereotypes on the mark.
You look like a stupid.
English sentence structure, U sounds at the end of some words, various Japanese and Chinese vocabulary.
Banzai!
But if you look at his picture while listening to some Lo Wang speech, your mind will be blown.
Whoops, Lo Wang drop soap. You bend over, get it.
Although there were a handful of games released that ran under Ken Silverman's build engine, Shadow Warrior was one of the 4 games that stood out. The release of the source code was thought to have been an April Fool's joke since it was released on April 1st of 2005. The game was ported to Linux a day later. There have also been various fan-made editions, such as a high-resolution pack for modern source ports. The game did have multiplayer capabilities, but that was done either on the local network or on the now-defunct Total Entertainment Network. This means if you were a little kid back in the day, you never played multiplayer. The shareware version had only 4 levels, which was not much for a shareware game. It did have 8 weapons available out of the 11 found in the full version, and had a meaty soundtrack that sounded almost as good as the CD music. Purchasing the full version gave you an additional 18 levels in a single episode, which is actually not much when compared to other games. On the bright side, the game did have 2 commercial expansion packs in the works, Wanton Destruction and Twin Dragon. These expansions never had a commercial release, but ultimately became a free download. The build editor was also included with the game to allow players to create their own levels, as well as a graphics editor. Compared to other games released in 1997, Shadow Warrior looks and feels relatively obsolete. Many gamers by this time were enjoying true 3D games with people from around the world. Whether it's because of the outdated engine, the restrictive multiplayer capabilities, or the modding potential of the game, Shadow Warrior pales in comparison, which is why I believe this is a game that barely makes the category for underrated games. It's a game worth playing through once, possibly once more on a higher difficulty. This is a game worth checking out.
Lo Wang kinda hungry now. Tastes like a chicken.